call this public hearing to order, the Winchester Planning Board. It is, oh, that's the wrong date. It's June, I was like, that's a way wrong date. June 3rd, 2025. Do a roll call vote to open the public hearing. Carrie?
Present.
Jack?
Here.
Nick?
Present.
John?
Here.
Brian, chair, is present. Tonight we have a public hearing on Planning Board Petition 25-4 for 972 Main Street. This is application of the Treetop Group LLC, care of Bridget Steins, for use and dimensional special permit under Section 8.12 Main Street Mixed Use District and Section 9.4 special permit of the Winchester zoning bylaw as it applies to the premises known as 972 Main Street, Winchester, Mass. 01890. Before we start, I'd like to ask John if you'd be willing to recuse yourself. Thank you very much. Just so everyone knows, we are recording on WinCam. When you get a chance to come up, I will ask you to state your name and address, and all comments and statements should be to the chair or to the board. With that, I'd like to ask you, Taylor, if you could kick off this petition before we invite the petitioners up to the table. Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. So we have 972 Main Street. This is going to be a special permit for everyone in public. This is an interesting and fun project, well, for me, because this is the first project that we have under our new Main Street Mixed Use District, which was passed at town meeting in the fall. So it's the town's newest zone, and it's the first development within that zone. So we're very excited to see how this process plays out. Tonight we have the special permit application, and it is the responsibility of the board tonight to review that application and approve it or accept it or reject it based off of its completion. If the board believes that it's sufficiently complete, they can move on through the special permit process. There's one submission waiver being requested, which is for the phasing plan. There's only as proposed, it's being constructed in a single phase. The board must determine if that's a reasonable waiver. There are several special permit waiver requests. Those requests won't be discussed or decided on tonight. The board may ask questions, the applicant may ask questions about those, but there will be no decisions being made about those waivers or any other project tonight.
You're good? Thank you very much. So with that, we will start by inviting the applicant up. I just want anybody who's from the public to know there will be an opportunity for public comment. That will come a little bit later. So if you guys could state your names and any company or address for the record, and then I don't know how much time you need to actually walk us through, but give you the time you need.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members. My name is Brigitte Steines, Inkstone Architects.
Pull one of the mics. Just pull the mic right over to whoever's talking. Yeah.
Do I need to push it for, is it on or?
Yeah, they are all on, yes.
It's all on. Okay.
That way people at home can hear
Okay.
as well.
Very good. So again, my name is Brigitte Steines, principal at Inkstone Architects and representing Treetop Development tonight for the project 972 Main Street. With me is Michael Lübeck from our office, project manager for this project. And I'm happy to walk you through, and I will.
Let me just
Yeah. No,
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sid Galot. I'm from Treetop Group. I'm the owner of the company.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that.
It happens.
I'm always so fast. We have submitted an application to build a 14-unit multi-family building on the 972 Main Street. And I believe everyone is familiar with the location. If not, I'm happy to give a little bit more context to the Main Street. But I think some of the board members were on site and saw it.
All but one board member were on site at your
Great.
open house.
Yes,
so.
yes, I recognize everyone. Yes, great. As a brief history of the lot, it was a car shop for many years, but had been abandoned as such since a while. It is currently used by a landscape company for parking vehicles and storing material, but no bigger business is going on the site right now. Historically, the building is by age had to go through the historical commission, where the current owner got a permit for demolition in 2020 already. It is aesthetically or architecturally not a desirable building to be protected or saved, but simply by age. An environmental review was done, both phases, phase 1 and 2, and no critical or any hazardous materials was found by soil testing or any other testing, which was great. We are proposing, and now I'm going to come more to the site, to the proposed, what we are planning. We are proposing a 14-unit building on the lot, which is a mixed-use property. So the decision was made to be solely residential, and that's why we also need to ask for a special permit. By right, it is a mixed-use building.
So you would like to make it into all residential?
Correct. Correct. We are proposing 14 residential units on the first floor, second floor, and also on the upper floor, while the ground floor, the first floor, also extends like a loft, like a townhouse concept into the lower level. But it's accessed from the front side. Maybe we can go to the, maybe we can either bring that up,
I
or
can
if we
actually
can
also
go
give you
down,
control
Taylor,
of this.
to the control.
I'll just give you control.
All right, control. Right, thank you. So by residential as a residential unit, the bylaw requires or is maximized as 2.5-story building. As a mixed use, it is a 3-story building. Since we do only residential, we still want to do 3-story, which we modify to fit into the neighborhood. If you look at the first picture at the front, at the elevations, that we try, maybe the first one here, the first one, that we implemented with a hip roof, a lower looking roof than it would be generally with a 3-story building. We are staying within the 46-foot maximum height. And with that would be also a waiver we would ask for, that we are building 3 stories, or it's basically this doesn't exist, a 2.8-story, because it's not, it doesn't have full ceiling heights. It has concealed ceiling, and the knee walls are 6 feet to keep it within the design guidelines also of Winchester.
Go under that
With
section.
the hip roof, yes.
Here we are.
Yes, that is the section to it. We are offering 11 parking spots. There would be 14 units required because we are proposing 14 units, and we are also asking for a waiver for 3 parking lots. I think in the summary it was stated that we offer 12, which went out, but we actually have 11 parking spots. We do offer with the design a building which would fit into the neighborhood. We structured it the way that it is not a full block in the front. We implemented dormer-like front space. And maybe specific to the site is also that the main street, as you know, it slopes down Glenwood Street, which offers the opportunity to access the building from the back for cars, and also offering the entrance with an elevator also from the back, which could be used also as an elderly walker accessible entrance, and also the stairs. We are offering landscaping around to the front as a great improvement to the current site, and we will work with the town to for the water management plan if we are there. Right now, as you saw the drawings, it's all still very conceptual, and many things still have to be worked out. To the question, I think what the board had, what I saw was the phasing, because initially there was a concept in place where it might have been ended in building in phases, and it looks like with a division wall in the middle, Street Top Development is committed to build that all in one phase and not in phases. What else did I forget about saying? The site, maybe walking through the zoning regulations. So we have the front setback of a minimum of 5, which we implemented. So we have a front setback of 5 feet. We have a rear setback for more than 20 feet, more than 30 feet, because we have the parking in the back. We have the side setbacks with 10. We also obey with these. We do not, as I mentioned before, we are not going higher than the maximum building height of 46 feet. So no special permit required here. We have a maybe to the distribution, which might be interesting, because we want to attract a very wide range of people living there. We have we have 4 one-bedrooms foreseen, 8 two-bedrooms, 2 3-bedrooms, so in total 14 units.
Could you say that again? I missed what you said.
Of course.
4 one-bedroom?
4 one-bedrooms, 8 two-bedrooms, 2 3-bedrooms. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
The maximum, I mean, I went through the zoning already. We have multifamily use, what we are asking for. And I think that is about everything. I could walk you through the square footage and such, but I think that is not needed unless it would be interesting for you to see.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think so far, did I forget anything, Mike?
I guess one thing I could add was in talking with the planning board, they asked for a possible future right-of-way for the sidewalk in front of the building. So in case that sidewalk sometime in the future wants to be expanded, we could have a 2-foot right-of-way as part of our streetscape improvement efforts to help aid our lower number of parking spots. Yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful. So, I'm sorry.
No,
Yep.
thank you. Please ask questions.
Okay. So I was going to open it up first to the board for questions, and then we'll move to public comment, and then we can have some discussion after everybody's left the table, and we can invite them back if we have additional questions for them. So I'd open it up to anyone on the board for any questions of the applicant.
I'm thinking about the design. I like the full gables on the front, and it has a very traditional look to it. The sides of the sloping side is an English country look to it. I'd like to see that look kind of brought full circle, with some more fenestration details, with a sill above and below each window, and a 4-pane look on the windows, and the front entryway to have a more historic. I think there's a lot that can be done with this. I think it could be amazing. The 3 windows that are set together might benefit. I'm not sure how they're going to look. I suppose if they were 4-paned, set together, with a sill above and below, it would have more of a historic feel to it as well. But I think it could be really great. It kind of looks like it's in between. I think it has a great overall shape, and I would love to see the kind of fenestration kind of catch up to that. I like the clapboard. I like the use of. I'm assuming it's. Durable materials, modern materials, but they look just like real clapboard.
We have not discussed it yet,
Yeah.
but because it's still very conceptual, but I would
Yeah.
assume it's kind of a fiber cement.
Yeah, which I think is great. I think it really is a powerful tool to achieve a look that is maybe from a bygone era. However, it has the modern maintenance properties that we're really looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I'd really love to see a real concerted effort to bring it full circle into a kind of a historic looking
Yeah.
property.
Thank you for your comment. We are certainly still working on the facade, on the materials, on the look of the windows and everything. So far, it was a very conceptual take on the massing first, the overall massing, and working it out with egress, the window.
Right, but it's just the gables are nice. The sloping of the side of the roof is just very has a European feel to it, which is very nice. I think it's a good starting point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the board?
I'll make a comment. We are very excited to see this property turned over. We're excited to see the new zoning bylaws used, and we're excited to work on the project together. It'll be a huge improvement to the site. We need the housing. And the spirit of the zoning bylaw, and the reason that we took on the task of rewriting it was to do 2 things, particularly on this side of the street. One, on both sides of the street, is to engage the streetscape and to make it have sort of the experience and the feel that we enjoy in the Center Business District. We want to draw that feel up the street, so that's why it's the mixed-use district. We really were looking for some retail or some services experience on the first floor where the windows would have more transparency and there would be some engagement between the building and the streetscape. And this will be one more residential building where we will have no engagement because people obviously have a right to privacy in their homes. The second goal that we have on the side of the street that this building is located on is to not put pressure on the neighborhood. As this street gets developed, we want to make sure that we respect the enjoyment of the folks who live on that street. So taking a parking waiver that reduces the number of parking spaces below the unit number means that those folks will be parking on the street. And the first neighbors that came to your meeting pointed out that that is already a difficult corner, and if people are parked at the corner, it's hard to make that turn. There were very sweet children running around, and we want to make sure that they grow up safely. And I'm sure they would be thrilled to have more kids to play with. And again, we're excited about the housing and the project, but you're asking for a lot of waivers in a district where we're really trying to transform the experience of the neighborhood and protect the experience of the neighbors. So I think our job today is just to decide if the application is materially complete. But before we move to the next step, I'm pointing out that you're asking for waivers that really fly in the face of the work that we did creating this zoning.
Thank you for your comment.
Can I just add one thing? I really like the extension of the eaves. In other words, it looks like in that original drawing, the gables have the roof that comes out. It looks like at least 18 inches on all sides, and I think that's a very important architectural element that I'd like to see kept.
Thank you, Nick.
I agree with what Nick was saying about design. I also agree with what Carrie was saying about the intent of the bylaw. One other point that we made while we were there was that we were looking for 12-foot sidewalks in that neighborhood. And you've indicated 10 here with a 6-foot, what appears to be, well, it's not there, but I've got it. It's on page 9. If I'm reading this right. 6 feet in the planting and the landscaping, is that right? I mean, I like the landscaping. I don't think that's a problem at all. But as I said, the spirit of the bylaw was a 12-foot sidewalk. We have a long ways to go in that. I recognize that, but this is our chance to start.
Thank you for the comment. I believe that we did read that with the 12 feet, but then we went by the setback requirements, and we learned that later how desired the 12 feet are. But by the time we submitted, we were showing it like that, but we are totally open to the 12 feet of implementing that with the next overhaul of the drawings.
Since the back of the building is, if I'm understanding, is an overhang over the parking, right?
Correct. It's part of the building. It's not
Right.
really an open, not one of these open overhangs. It really has garage doors and is closed. So it's not one of these. Where you just
Right, I understand. So just speculative, if you were to move, if it were possible to move the entire building, say 2 feet back from what you're indicating on your plan, you could have both the landscaping and the 12-foot sidewalk.
We are, so in the back, if we start from the back, we have to have a 5-foot planting strip between the parking.
Right.
We minimize that already, and that is also something we still need to work out with fire and DPW and inspector trash.
And the turning
How-
radius.
Yes,
Turning.
correct, and the turning radius. So we have, typically we do ideally 20 feet between the parking and the building, and now we're at 19.6, so stretching that a little bit already. So going with the building in the back would be very hard.
I see. Okay, thank you.
So I have a couple of comments and questions. Is there in here elevation from the rear of what this looks like?
I don't think we currently have one of
Okay.
those.
Okay, so that's fine. I would be curious to see that.
Because that's what the neighbors down the street will be looking at.
That's what they're going to see, yeah. So I have 3 comments, and I'm happy to have you just address why you are making these decisions in your application. The first is that you've elected in your application to have no affordable units and instead make petition to have a payment in lieu. The second would be the choice to have fewer parking spaces than required by the zoning. And the third would be to have no commercial on the ground floor commercial. And this is your chance to address, from my perspective, why you made those design decisions on this proposal.
Right. So these type of decisions are business and marketing decisions, not so much design. So we are translator of a concept. But my understanding is that there was a long phase of trying to make commercial work in that area, and it's harder to find renters. This is not proof. I have no evidence of that. That's just by hearing. That residential is more desirable than commercial, that there are many open commercial area spaces, and it would be hard to rent them out. That was the last question. The affordable unit is simply a business decision, as well as the, I don't know if you want to answer that.
I just want to add to it that it's just that when we say payment in lieu, we want to know from the board, what that would be, and then when we are doing our complete budgeting, we can figure it out whether we want to go take this route or whether we want to have one affordable unit. So we just want an option. It's nothing, again, like you said, we want to work with you guys,
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And in terms of the parking, so desirable is also to have a mixture in the offer for units. So we are having quite a few one-bedroom apartments and two-bedroom apartments. That means we have the numbers is simply that high. The property, however, doesn't allow for more parking. This is really the maximum of parking we can fit on that lot, which is tight already. So that's a tight spot for turning radiuses and such.
Thank you. I would just point out that the zoning bylaw allows for a reduction in parking in exchange for additional affordable unit. It allows that to be a special permit decision by the planning board. Having no commercial is allowable by a special permit. And it certainly will be discussion about inclusionary housing, which is a goal of this board and this town to increase our number of affordable units. So those are all, those are heavy asks, I'll just put it that way. I think to paraphrase what you said about some other things. Are there other questions by the board before we open up public comment?
No, I think let's hear from people.
Okay, everyone agree? Okay, so I'd like to ask the three of you if you could sit back into the audience. And then we would welcome members of the public. So this is your opportunity to engage on this topic. I'll offer you up to 3 minutes to speak. Please address through the chair or to the board. If when you come up, you state your name and address. And we don't have such a full house that it feels like we need to go back and forth for people who are supporting or not supporting per our procedures. Just if we could have people come up, raise your hand and I'll call you up if you want to come and speak on this. Okay, so the first gentleman there, if you come on up, and then we will have time to get to everyone. So I am going to time you. I'm not going to cut you off, but when you get to 3 minutes, I'm going to tell you you've gotten to 3 minutes.
Okay. So I'm Michael Bauer. I live at 16 Glenwood, so just behind this. My main concern, I think, is that it is a tight corner. It's actually, there's effectively only one lane at that corner. And so there are plenty of opportunities when turning into that onto Glenwood where you're surprised by people coming up the other way, and you essentially have to stop right in the middle of Main Street traffic to sort of sort it out. So if it's possible to widen the street so it's actually 2 lanes there, I think that would ease one of our concerns as far as like safety and sort of the additional traffic of having 11 more cars going in and out of that intersection.
Could you just clarify, not that we necessarily have control over this, you're implying widen the street coming out, or like 2 lanes coming out and 1 lane? I would just want to know what you're proposing.
Prohibit parking.
It's no, not prohibit parking, but it's the Glenwood Avenue is it's a 2-lane road mostly, but when it gets to the intersection, it narrows to 1.5 lanes, and it's effectively 1 lane. So really, you can't have one car going in while another car goes out, and part of that is due to a fire hydrant that's on the map here. You can see how the property sort of like scoots into Glenwood Avenue there as it comes out towards Main Street. If there was something that we could do to move the fire hydrant and sort of straighten up that corner, we might have 2 lanes then.
Okay.
So
one last thing. This is important because I was there, but I did not drive down the road. I parked across the street. So right now, if a car is coming out of Glenwood, a car coming in must wait till the car leaves before a car can turn into Glenwood.
yeah, so you get into situations where the guy, if you're trying to get out, you have to back up and let somebody come in. And
Okay.
yeah,
Question for you. That is a public street, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It is. struck, the first time I ever went down there, because you guys had there was a house down there that was demolished, I think, right? It was a very historic old house, and I'm trying to remember, because I'd gone down
Oh,
there.
the old, yes.
Yeah, anyway, I'd gone down there, and I thought I was going down a driveway, because there's a little, like,
There's a bump.
there's
Yeah.
a bump there, you look like you're going down a driveway, and it's that narrow.
It is narrow. Yeah.
So it is a public way. It's interesting.
Thank you very much.
No
Appreciate it.
alternative, I mean, it's, you have to turn around at the
It's
end
a
of it.
cul-de-sac. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only like.
I don't think that anybody has the answer to this, but I would guess that the town right away is probably right about, I'm sorry. I would
You're
guess
there,
that the
huh?
town right away probably is right about there. I mean, I don't know, but I know that the town right away is generally not what it appears. It's not the curve.
Okay, so I mean, for the applicant's benefit, what would we have to do to make sure this is safe? Like, how early in the process can they find out that whether or not that can be, like, how do you move a fire hydrant? Like, who's in charge of that? We
Yeah.
can't change the contour of the road, right?
Sure. I mean, if you're not, as long as you're using the town right away, yeah, you can.
Yeah, I'm suggesting that perhaps the street could be widened using the town right away. They did that at Wildwood.
But that's not on the, is that on, whose problem is that? The applicant or our, that's
Well,
the town's
it's
problem?
the
So we'd have
town's,
to
but
get
it's
the-
reasonable to. I mean, it's a part. You can make it a part of the project if you'd like.
But that's an
You see
interesting
what I'm
problem.
saying, though? If we make it a problem, if we say this is contingent on the town widening the road, then it's sort of the town could slow this way down, right? I just feel like the applicants need a heads up about how many steps it would take to actually do that.
Sure. Yeah. It warrants a much larger discussion. But I mean, we did it with we've done it with other projects. Waterfield, for example. We did it. A significant portion of Waterfield is on Waterfield and Laraway. But you're right. But it warrants a much longer discussion.
Yeah, it would affect their timeline pretty significantly.
Just important to hear from people.
Yeah. It's a good point.
So anybody else from the public? Okay, next. Again, state your name and address. And again, I'm timing you, but
Yeah.
please don't feel pressured.
No worries. Justin Kao, I live at 18 Glenwood. So, first off, I'm in favor of something happening there. That place is a disaster, right? It's disgusting. There's chemicals everywhere. So I'm in favor of something happening here. I echo a lot what Mike said, though. It is a one-lane street up there. My biggest issue with this proposal is it's just too dense. I don't understand how you could add 14 units and expect to house 11 cars. You cannot live in that part of town without a car. And I'm going to guess a lot of the people who will buy those units will have 2 cars if you're a couple. And how are you going to account for that? Those extra cars are going to wind up in Glenwood. Even if you're not supposed to park on the street overnight, it's what's going to happen. So I would love to see some addressment of how that's going to work, because I just don't see how it's going to work from just a space perspective. And you guys, I mean, I recognize a lot of you from that meeting. You saw my kids biking up and down the street, and when you add potentially 10 more cars on the street there, and then someone's got to get by, what's going to happen? I don't know. It's really dangerous.
Sure.
And so that's one of my biggest concerns about this, is that it's too ambitious from a unit perspective. I would definitely ask that some kind of traffic study be done. I mean, it sounds like you guys are aware of these issues and you're seeing what's happening, but it's been an issue for a while where it's really hard to get in and out of Glenwood, just naturally now. When you add 14 units there, it's going to be crazy. We added 2 units at the front a couple years back, I think. And so we didn't feel the impact of that as much. But those cars have to park a little bit on the street. They kind of like have an offset parking space. And even when there's 2 cars coming out and those cars are there, it's hard to get by. The other issue I have, and this would help alleviate a lot of my concerns, is that if they change the entrance to go from Glenwood to be on Main Street, I think, not sure how that works physically, but I think a lot of the issues I'm having is that you're just kind of forcing the issues onto a really small street that just can't support the space.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Great comments.
All right.
Thank you very much. Are there additional members? I thought I saw another hand.
I'm doing my Darth Vader. I didn't mean to.
Any additional questions from the audience? Comments? Seeing none, we will close public comment. But when we're in public hearing, when this comes up again, there will be additional opportunity. There's also always opportunity to write to the board. You can send, it's at planningboard@winchester.us. So if you send an email, it actually goes to all 5 members of us. We may not respond as much as you'd like because we have to follow open meeting law, but we definitely get it, and any comments from you will go into our packet, and they'll be part of the public record. So with that, I think I'd move into board discussion about, what's before us tonight is not necessarily all these issues. It's whether or not the packet, the application is complete, and whether we want to accept with the waiver as proposed, the one waiver for the phasing. So I think that's sort of, we can talk about the whole project, but we could focus on that if we want to. So it's up to you all.
What does it mean to be complete? I mean, I know they said they're going to work on the design and create fenestration and detail and this and that, but is that completeness, or is that just part of the process?
I will turn that over to you to answer that question for us.
The completeness is essentially the packet that's in front of you. If you believe that they have submitted everything that is required, if you look on page 2, I believe it's page, well, they may have had the submission.
I mean, if we deem this to be complete based on the list of based on the list, will there still be opportunity to discuss the?
Oh, absolutely.
Design?
Yeah. You're just saying yes. This is a packet that we are willing to move forward with, and then the process starts. Yeah.
Taylor, could I ask you a question?
Yep.
So your belief that the submission is complete?
Yes.
Okay. Can I follow up and say, do you recommend approval of the waiver for the phasing plan?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
In the request that we may need to make to the town to widen the street doesn't affect the phasing plan?
No, the phasing plan is going to be the structural. I mean, it's a good question. I don't believe so. No, because there'll be a town responsibility building, not them responsibility.
Would it be appropriate to suggest that the applicant share the cost of widening the street?
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that now.
I'm just thinking ahead.
Yes.
Okay. The other question I had, I'm the newbie here, so forgive my stupidity.
We're all newbies in a manner of speaking.
The mixed-use standard, which is what is in the bylaw,
Yep.
and you know it better than anybody, says that the building height can be 52 feet. And this proposal has between 45 and 46, is that correct? That's what I'm seeing here.
If it's a mixed-use structure, as a residential structure, it has a different,
But the residential is 46 and the mixed use is 52.
Right.
So if they were to put commercial on the ground floor,
They would get extra
They could go
height.
to 52. Okay, so that, because I'm just thinking ahead, so I just tuck that away. I don't want to
Right.
bring anything up now, but I have some ideas.
it's a good point. No, we try, I mean, in the spirit of the bylaw, trying very hard to get the streetscape to engage with the buildings and to create more foot traffic and more activity on that street. The leniency is all focused around mixed use and affordable housing.
I'm sympathetic to the applicant's concern that there wouldn't be enough foot traffic to justify commercial. However, if they build it, they will come. There are a lot of residents in that neighborhood, and if you put in, I don't know, a convenience store or something, one of the residents back there is nodding. I think that we'd get a lot of foot traffic from the immediate neighborhood. There's Hemingway Street, there's et cetera. There's a lot of residences in there, so some kind of convenience store that they could walk to pick up milk or what have you, I think would be welcome. It doesn't have to be another coffee shop or nail salon.
If it happens, it happens. If it's a brunch or a taco shop, we're going to fast track this project.
Just throwing that out there.
No, I mean, that's a good point. And the zoning bylaw that we wrote was really looking at 20, 30 years down the road, that what this street might look like, or maybe even 50 years down the road. And we would like to, you described it well, engage from the street and the sidewalk. And if we go down the road of having all just not housing and not mixed use, we should expect the next development that comes in to also be that, and we should expect the next one to be that too.
Yeah, it will be a series of, but they.
So
That's my
Tough
point.
precedent.
If we say, well, of course, there's not enough justification for commercial, but then the next guy's going to say the same thing, so
Yeah.
then we have no commercial.
yeah.
So we're setting a precedent, which makes me nervous.
We have no commercial, we have everyone underestimating the parking, we have buildings that are the wrong heights, we have sidewalks that are, I know, it's borderline on a riddle, you know, what's
Yeah.
a mixed use that's not mixed use?
So I'm happy to continue this conversation. I'm happy if someone wants to move to accept the submission. We have suggested language by Taylor that we could use. I'm open to any language that anybody wants to use as far as this. Are we comfortable with waiving the phasing plan?
The phasing plan is mostly an expectation for how long the property is going to be disrupted while construction happens, right? So the fact that the town will have to do something to the street, we would assume that would happen kind of at the same time. So as far as, it'll be phase one for this month, your house will be subject to noise and disruption. I think it seems fine. It's not a huge parcel.
So is anyone?
Should we confirm with the applicant that after our discussion, they would still like to submit?
Well, they have submitted, so we're going to,
Well, I'll make the motion that the MD Special Permit Development Review application for PB 25-4 972 Main Street has been reviewed and accepted, and the request for a submission requirement waiver for the phasing plan has been accepted. Fine with me.
is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion on that motion before we move to a vote?
It's possible that's the last full-throated endorsement I give before we get into some hard negotiations. But the packet is complete, and I look forward to the parcel changing.
Okay. So all in favor? Do we need a roll call vote or do we not?
Roll call, yes.
Okay. All in favor, Nick?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye?
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous. With that, thank you very much for coming in tonight. With that, we need to move to continue this public hearing. We are unsure. We're going to talk later on in our meeting about our summer schedule. So what we think the prudent thing to do is to continue this meeting, this public hearing, to our next meeting, which is June 17th. It's entirely possible we will have nothing to do at that meeting except continue it to another meeting. But because we might be potentially canceling early July meetings if people are away for the week of 4th of July. So I would welcome a motion to continue this public hearing to June 17th, which is our next, double checking. It is June 17th, right?
Yeah.
June 17th. So I'd welcome a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. So we are now out of public hearing, and we can move into our meeting, which we didn't actually ever open because we went directly into public hearing. So it's now time that we're going to open our meeting of June 3rd. I will take yet another roll call vote again. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And welcoming
And
back
John,
to the
would you
table,
like to come
John
back and open?
Cortizas.
Do you concur with opening our meeting?
Yes.
And the chair does as well. So thank you, everyone. I'll give you a second. Anybody who wants to leave, you can feel free to go. And anybody who wants to stay, you're welcome to stay as well. So we will start with board and staff updates.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to meet the architectural team.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any updates for the committee that they want to give? Welcome them now.
I should keep you closely updated on state of the town, but there's not much to say yet. I met with Taylor today, and we got some sort of, broad overview of topics that we want to make sure we create some data around so that we can hold as much space in the process for the planning board as possible, and
Okay.
you and I are going to hammer out a date soon. But other than that, we're still in the very early stages, although meeting weekly.
Okay,
So
excellent.
I'll have more on the 17th.
Thank you, and thank you. I'm going to keep on thanking you every time for stepping up for this.
Well, thank you for stepping up as chair, Brian. So you could free me up to be on State of Town.
Everybody's stepping up for something new this year.
That's right.
Any other board updates?
I think I sent you all an email after the Housing Partnership Board meeting that I attended, and that John Serbier had told us something that we didn't know, that the ZBA was expecting some kind of recommendation from us vis-a-vis the Washington Swanton development before their next meeting on the 24th. I think I sent that.
You did send that?
I know I sent it to you. I think I sent it to everyone, didn't I?
I think so. I thought I
Okay.
Taylor was going to, and he may not have had a chance, was going to hunt down whether that was the timing of when they wanted recommendation. We had originally, our thinking was that that would be later on because they're still in the earlier on process, but I don't know. I meant to, and I responded to you, I meant to send out to the whole board. The ZBA meeting where they met on Washington and Swanton was actually recorded live in this room, and it's on WinCam, so you can all watch that and see the entire presentation and see the question and answers. So I will send it. It's on YouTube, I believe, and I'll send that out later on after the meeting, because I think that will be a good primer on that project. But the timing of exactly when we're going to discuss it, I don't have an answer for it right now. It's going to be a many-month-long project on their end. I'm
I'm a
sure.
little puzzled why they want input already on the basis of a single hearing.
I don't think
You don't think that's
that's right.
well,
That was why we hadn't put it on the agenda yet, because we
Yeah,
were waiting until it got closer to the point where more things were fleshed out, because we really don't want to be reviewing it 5 times. We'd like to be reviewing it
thank you.
once.
I would agree with that.
Any other board or staff updates? Board updates, then I'll move to staff updates in a second. I don't think I have any. I probably should, but I didn't write anything down to say, so save some time. I know what the one update I was going to give was, from now on, if we have an in-person meeting and we finish by 9, drinks are on me at Lucia's. So just want to let you guys know that.
Encouragement to
Move to adjourn.
That was the only update I had. So Taylor, are there any staff updates that you have for tonight?
I do not.
Okay. Well, that was efficient. We have 2 sets of minutes. There's minutes from May 1st and minutes from May 20th. They were sent out late
Yeah,
in the
I
afternoon.
would suggest waiting until the 17th to approve them.
Okay, because I found some errors on one set. Is everybody okay with moving, waiting till the
I also
17th?
found some errors. So maybe
Okay. So I don't know that we need to do anything on it. I don't think we need to.
Get them.
I think we're good.
So that would move us into development review. And we have, first up is subdivision for Loring Court, an application to release Lot 3 under the regulations governing subdivision as it applies to the project known as the definitive subdivision of Loring Court. I'm going to turn it first over to you, Taylor, to tee this off. And I know that there was some information in the packet on page, it was further down, page 31, I believe. Oh, no, maybe it's before that. No, 31 is the A and R.
Here.
Okay. So what page is that? 36. So if you would kick this
Yep.
off and sort of give us some...
So we have two projects kind of under the same scope, same conversation, but they are 2 distinctly separate projects. We have the release of Lot 3 on 10 Loring Court, which is a subdivision, and then we have an A&R, which affects the same lot, but it's a separate application. the release of Lot 3, for those planning board members who have been, some of the more veteran planning board members know that we have been releasing these lots slowly for the Loring Court subdivision over the last year and a half. The planning department, engineering department, and building department have determined that the subdivision has been sufficiently completed. It is, I have boards. You hold it.
I'll hold this side and then.
The subdivision has been completed. The third home is ready for a certificate of occupancy, and they just need the lot to be released by the board as is required by the agreement.
I'll pass this around if anybody wants to see
This
that.
is this the side of the Kokobadakian laundry, or the laundry building?
Correct.
Yeah. And again, because I'm a newbie, I don't know. I remember this came through, but there were how many building lots in that?
3 total.
3 total. And the entrance, it's a cul-de-sac.
Correct.
Entrance on is where?
It's on,
It's off Loring.
Wayne?
No, it's off Loring.
Loring.
Loring, it's on Loring.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So it has the same address, Loring Court.
it's on
Has the
Loring
same-
Ave, Street Ave?
Street, I'll have.
Yeah, but it's off of Loring Ave? Yeah.
Let me look at this on the map, just to get oriented here. Yeah, here we go. So, this is the,
Applicant's map works. They're off of.
well, it's, yeah, see that, so it's just an extension off that to the north,
Yep, Swanton, Loring.
and it doesn't connect up to Lochwayne.
It does not.
Okay, got it.
No, it's got that.
Right. Okay.
So is there, before I invite the applicant up, if there's anything to discuss, but we're getting the recommendation that everything is complete.
That is
Yeah, we've
correct.
been waiting for the sidewalk. Sidewalk looks great, right? The street had to be tidied up.
That is correct.
Vehicles are out of there. Those were the big concerns from the neighbors, if I remember correctly.
So if the applicant is here, I'll welcome you up if you have anything you want to add. Again, state your name and address and company for the board, and just add anything beyond what that you feel is necessary.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Andrew Cara. I'm an attorney at Rubin and Rudman, having a business address at 53 State Street, Boston, Massachusetts. My partner, Joseph Tarby, and I are legal counsel for the project. With me tonight is Mr. Robert Murray, the manager of Lockwan LLC, the developer of the project.
Yes. My address is 27 Cambridge Street, Burlington.
Okay, perfect. Anything you want to add to anything you've heard? I welcome it, but I'm not requiring it.
No, very similar requests to the 2 previous requests were made. I believe the most recent one before the board was in December. I think it's also important to note tonight that we are not requesting a release of the bond, simply a release of Lot 3 in connection with the sale that's coming up on June 9th.
Thank you. Any questions for them?
Yeah.
That's nice.
They have it.
I mean, it looks fine to me.
The end of a long road.
If there are no questions for them, I will welcome you to go back and sit back down. Sorry to make you come all the way up here. I just wanted to make sure if there were questions or if you had anything you wanted to add.
It's nice.
Any discussion among the board? Any or a motion of some sort?
I'm sorry.
I'm happy that this is all done. I've been following this since before I was on the board.
It looks like
And it's
even the
exciting to-
plantings are in place. The driveway look good. I think that's good. All right. Nope. Looks good.
Nice.
Anybody else? Yeah.
So if someone would like to make a motion, again, we have sample motion language, which you're free to use or not.
And we need to make 2 for this, right?
We're just
Oh,
making
it's a
one
different
motion
one.
for
Oh, right,
this,
okay.
and then we're going to discuss the A&R, which is a different animal.
So I would move to release Lot 3 of the Loring Court subdivision because the work has been completed in conformance with the definitive subdivision plan, Loring Court, and the release of Lot 3, 10 Loring Court, Winchester, Massachusetts, would by this motion be approved.
Second?
Okay.
Okay. We are not in public hearing, so we do not need a roll call vote, I don't believe, or you, former chair, do we? It would still be.
I mean, at a table,
There
we
was a
just, we
motion in a
didn't,
second, so we should have the roll call, shouldn't we?
or we should have a vote where we can clearly tell how everyone voted.
Okay, so we'll just do a roll call vote to keep it nice and clean. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous. I mean, at a table, it's sort of obvious. We're not town meeting.
Or we can all just say aye at once. But
I agree,
but we should vote on, we should vote, I mean, I think.
Yeah. No, I meant no. I meant, did we want a roll call vote versus a just
Voice
a
vote.
a voice vote? Yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
voice vote, yeah, voice vote's fine.
So, well, it is passed. Thank you. And now we will move on to the next development review, which is for A&R 25-2, proposed plan to subdivide Lot 3. And I will kick that off with you, Taylor, again, because you're closer to this than any of us.
So the A&R affects the same lot as the one just discussed. The one thing to know as information is not all board members were here when this started. The conversation about the knowledge that this A&R was going to be pursued at this time has been known since the preliminary subdivision. This has always been a part of the plan. What we have is, if we look up here in the top right-hand corner, we have the existing lot as is. It's got this dog leg here, and what's being proposed is to remove down here, to take that dog leg and bring it to make it as a unbuildable lot, not a buildable lot, which is allowed by the subdivision rules and regulations. This lot stays conforming to zoning, and Lot 3B will stand on its own as an unbuildable lot.
Any questions for Taylor? Go ahead.
Is Lot 3B buildable now?
Lot 3, no.
exist
Well,
now.
so it will be up here, and you can't build on it. There's nothing that you can build it with. Well, I mean,
okay.
maybe you could, like a really long shed.
Okay.
That used to be the driveway to get in there, to drop off your rug to get it clean.
Oh, I see, okay.
And that was the parking area at the top, or in the middle, I should say, and then turn around and go out on Lockline. So would there be anything, they could cede that land to the abutter, I suppose, or sell it to the abutter if they...
Yeah, there's certainly possibilities, and we can theorize them. Yep.
But this passes all the requirements
That is correct.
for an A&R.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not really discretionary. Even if they could do something that we didn't want or do want, it's not up for us to make that decision.
So it's not buildable by current zoning because I'm looking at it, it's deficient in lot area.
Correct.
And frontage.
And frontage, and I mean, I guess, yeah, I guess I didn't think of the frontage. Yeah, and frontage. It has access though.
Yeah. I would welcome anyone who, the petitioner, up if they want to speak on this, if you're here, if this is still, but I don't require it. Okay. I would welcome a motion if there's no further discussion.
I'm just reading over how to word this. So regarding Loring Court A&R 25-2, I make a motion to approve the proposed plan to subdivide Lot 3 as shown on the plan entitled Subdivision Plan, prepared by the associates we just met, LP, Marchionda, and Associates LP into a buildable Lot 3A with an area of 17,275 square feet and an unbuildable Lot 3B with an area of 2,754 square feet.
I'll second that.
Picking that up off the top of my
I
head.
think you did a great job on that motion. Thank you.
It was on the fly, you know,
Just whatever came into your mind, it was sort of stream of consciousness.
just spitballing.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous. Do we have that available to sign tonight?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yes.
we do.
Oh, we do?
We
Okay.
do, but we can do that at the end of the meeting, right? We don't need to do it now.
We can pass it around. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very
I'll
much.
sign it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
That moves us on to the next topic in our agenda, which is A&R for 233 to 237 High Street. We have in our packet a letter from the applicant on page 30. They are wishing to withdraw and asking that they withdraw this A&R without prejudice. They will, all likelihood, come back and do it again. And if you could just explain a little bit, very little bit, what they were asking, and then
A little background to it.
I mean, we don't need it much because they're basically not doing it, but enough so that when we see it again, we aren't totally shocked by it.
So in an A&R, one of the, as we just talked about, when you're trying to create buildable lots, they have to conform with zoning. If you're converting a non-conforming lot, it just can't be less conforming. That makes sense. So the lot can still be non-conforming, but it can't be less non-conforming than it currently is. It was determined that the lot width was not conforming, so we let the applicant know that it's not. It's more or less conforming than it currently is. So if it had come to the board tonight, it would have been denied. And instead of going through the denial process, they just withdrew, and they will come back later at the time where they create a conforming lot.
Thank you.
What is that building?
It's up in High Street Extension,
Okay. I can't get a good look at it.
above Ridge Street.
Okay.
I think the house is abandoned.
Oh.
Has been for some. I walk down that street frequently, and it was buried in bushes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's been cleaned out recently, so something's going on.
Well, they'd like to rebuild it.
Tear it down, I
Yeah.
would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
And they want to take a little bit of land from their neighbor in order to build back.
it's a little,
It's a good sized lot.
Well, there's a lot of wetlands back there.
it's
Yeah.
wet, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
always.
yeah.
That's it's like Smith Pond.
Yep.
Yeah.
There used to, I mean, that used to be a dirt road.
Yeah.
I remember when it was a dirt road.
Yeah.
Felt like you were in Vermont.
Yeah. It was,
Not all of Vermont is dirt roads.
No, but you know what I mean.
I know, I'm
it
teasing.
was like you'd take a turn off ridge.
Or Maine, whatever.
So, we will see this again, no doubt. And we can discuss it more than for now, unless anybody's opposed. I would welcome a motion to accept their withdrawal without prejudice.
I will move that the planning board accept the applicant's request to withdraw their A&R application without prejudice.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Carrie?
Are we voting or are we
Vote-
discussing?
voting.
Oh, aye.
Unless you had more discussion.
Have discussion.
Jack?
Can I have something else?
And Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The vote is unanimous. So that completes our development reviews. Which brings us up to our additional business. I had sent out an email to all of you talking about some of the things that we got through town meeting, and now we have a chance to breathe and talk about what we want to do for fiscal year 26 and beyond, because some of the things we might want to look at are going to take more than just a year. We talked about this at the last meeting about prioritizing what people wanted to look at. I have many ideas I've written down. I hope you guys have come to the meeting tonight with some ideas as well. The goal is not for us to say tonight, we're absolutely going to do A, B, and C, and we're going to start it now. but sort of narrow it down of what are our high priorities, what are our low priorities, and maybe then decide how we want to proceed. It's tight for us to do almost anything between now and fall town meeting. Even a simple thing would be tight now at this point. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that we can start working on and start giving previews to town meeting at fall of where we're going and start having public hearings, and so that we could have stuff done in spring or the following town meeting, fall town meeting. So I'm going to take advantage of being chair and throw out some of the things that I think are important, and then I'll go around the table and let people talk about what they think might be important. And these are in no particular order, but they're things that I've seen come up in our meetings that it seemed like they could be important. The first would be to review the zoning bylaw, especially 3.53, 3.54, 3.55, for where special permits are needed and where variances are needed, and clarify the cases where it's a special permit and not a variance. I don't know exactly what we need to do. I just know that we see so many ZBA applications come before us, and we sit around here saying, why is this a special permit and not a variance, or why is it a variance and not a special permit? And I will say, I was in a meeting with the town manager the other day, and she said, if there's anything you guys could tackle, I really wish you'd tackle that. And I was like, wow. So it is. She then was next to say, well, I of course don't tell you what to do. But so there's certainly an appetite, I think, from the town, because the ZBA, the commissioner, the town attorney, and the planning board aren't always reading these things and understanding them the same way. So I think that would be a helpful thing to talk about. I don't know when. The next one that I think was something that we should decide on is review the bylaw for area calculations, specifically FAR. We know that ADUs calculate FAR or area differently than we calculate. They calculate from the inside, according to state, from the inside wall. We calculate from the outside wall. We saw a recent application for the Center Business District where the height got taller on the application, yet the FAR stayed the same, allegedly. So I think it would be helpful to, we don't say a lot. The FAR is listed twice. There's a definition, just says the dimensions, but it doesn't exactly say how to calculate it. So that's the second thing.
Grade as well.
Grade as well. That's a third thing. I mean, so we've talked about it, and we've given a lot. This is a third thing, would be site plan review. This is something, Carrie, I know that you wanted to run with, and I'm still happy to let you run with it. This is something that...
I know I'm busy now.
What?
No, I'm busy now.
We've talked about how to streamline it. I mean, we definitely sort of, we got pushed back on ADUs because they said site plan review was believed to be too cumbersome. So I think it's something we could look at and decide how to move forward on that.
Now, I believe that was updated in 2016, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so it's fairly new. It's worth looking at.
It's worth, these are just ideas.
Oh, I think it's good.
These are ideas.
I think it's good because there was a lot of, I remember that was a lot of back and forth, and I was marginally involved, but I remember the back and forth.
And we got a lot of pushback for having site plan review included in the ADU bylaw. And so the question is, could we have different site plan review, one for ADUs and one? I mean, it just sort of, this is a topic. I'm not sure. I don't even know the questions yet.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So the timeliness of it was because ZBA was undertaking their own review of their forms and their process, and because Carla had updated the buildings process. And so we didn't want to sort of be left behind, since we hold the responsibility of updating the bylaw to make sure we're all executing the same tasks.
And if we're a little behind them now, it doesn't mean we couldn't choose to continue on this, or we could say, let's put a pause on that. It's a good idea, but I mean, we can't do all these things I'm
right.
throwing out there, and you guys all have your own things. One thing is the master plan was approved like the same week as COVID hit, and then we got had no town planner. So we're now 5 years into the current master plan. We're going to be looking at a new master plan in starting in 3 years, maybe? Two. So the question is, to what extent do we want to, we don't have a master plan implementation committee.
To put ish.
And I've always believed that's actually a poor way of phrasing it. Because I don't think that we should ask a master plan implementation committee to actually implement the master plan. But I feel like it's something that we should be looking at least checking off what we've accomplished, looking at what might be some goals from that. So that's another thing. Another one is we've talked about light industrial. Is that something we really want to, I know John was looking into that. Is that something we really want to, we don't have time to go into these all in detail, but is that something we want to continue on right now, or is that something we want to put on the back burner? And then the last thing I put on my list is when we approved the MOD, we approved guidelines for the Main Street mixed-use district, but we did not approve guidelines for the MOD, and we talked about whether we'd scale them back. Or do we want to just do as we're doing now, which is when somebody applies for an application at MOD, we say the MSMD guidelines would be a good place to look at, or do we want to make our own guidelines for the MOD? So those are in no particular order things that I think that directions we could go, and I've asked you all to we don't even have to noodle on those now. What are the other things that you guys think are directions that we should be going down? You had said grade, which is a great one already.
Just to add to the calculations list.
But I think it's just good, just grade in general, how you calculate the height of a building from
Yeah,
grade.
and Tom has a great answer for that. He has a calculation he'd like to see. So that I know you're going to, don't just like take a deep breath and just hear this information. He has one that we could potentially just pop into the bylaw.
Why would I be opposed to that if it's good?
Yeah.
So that's what I've got. I'm happy to go around the table and, Jack, if you want to kick it off just because you're right there, of ideas that you might have come with. I know you sent an email to us as well.
I won't go into great detail. I just want to sort of kick it out there like you did. But speaking from personal experience, which was an eye-opener for me when I had my first special permit application, I was astounded by the complexity of the approval process, and I sent you the one-pager that Carla sent me. I have copies here if you didn't print one for yourself.
Yeah, I'd love a copy, actually.
I think
we should get one to Taylor as well to put into.
No, I've got them here.
No, we should get one to Taylor to put into the record.
Jack is prepared. Wonderful.
In color, no less.
Receipts and handouts. Look at this guy.
I can understand that if you're coming in with a special permit application for you, because you're going to put a second story on and a wing, and there's all sorts of, you're going into 2 setbacks, and it's very complicated. I get that this approval process makes sense, but I made a little flashback of my days when we used to run to CVS at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night to pick up poster board for the kids' project. Day. So I did that today. This is the amount of space that is going to be going into the setback that is causing me to have to apply for a special permit. That's it.
I totally applaud this visual.
That's epic. Can you hold it up for the camera as well?
Oh, okay.
How many days are hung on this poster board? How many months of your life?
Yeah, really. I thought we'd be in the four-season porch by now. Fools that we are, we may get it done by October. I'm not whining, I'm not complaining, it's part of the system, I get it, but is it really necessary? And I don't have a solution.
Yeah.
But for something that having been on historical commission for 16 years, I saw a lot of these kinds of things. And I thought, rubber stamp, good luck, no problem.
Yeah, thresholds.
No idea that they had to go through this.
You have a well-educated, compassionate friend in I Ching Scott.
Oh, yeah, she went through this too, yes. Yep. Well, hers was a little more involved than this, but I hear you.
It was, it was, but
She was pushing it out.
It was also kind
yeah,
of
it was
a
very
no-brainer.
modest, very modest.
And
I
it
mean,
was
I think this
landslide
table
of
would have
paperwork.
covered the.
But she would be a great person because she has.
So I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating. Is there some way of breaking out? Is there some way of drawing a line so these kinds of projects don't necessitate such a complex review process? And if so, what is the simpler process? I don't know the answer. Yeah.
That's what we wanted to do for ADU. Can we do a streamlined review process so we can have some weigh in from whoever, but not
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but it just seems.
It folds in well to talking about, do we want to address site plan review? I realize it's not site plan review, it's special permit, but like, it
So here we
folds
go.
in well.
So I don't know how long the ZBA is going to actually take to render the opinion, but they have 90 days, which the hearing is on June 12th. So, no, it's the 12th, that's right, next week. So 90 days, it takes it into September.
They have 90 days.
And then I've got to wait 20 days for any appeal, which takes it into October. And then I've got to go down to the Middlesex Registry of Deeds.
You have to wait for the 20-day appeal period.
That's right, after the 20-day appeal period, taking paper back and forth between town clerk and building department, and it's our bureaucracy, I guess. Again, I'm not complaining, but is it necessary?
So by April,
Pardon me,
by April, you can get some wood.
Should have just been quiet and just not even asked for a building
Just bought all
permit.
the neighbors a nice bottle of scotch.
That was my one idea. The other idea that I was thinking about, which I shared with you, was our applicant we had at our last meeting really got me thinking about the notion of a passive house, which is very appealing. I think it appeals to all of us. And he was saying that there's really no accommodation in the bylaw to make it, I don't know, I'm not sure what he was asking, that there should be some give. And I don't know what that looks like. But I spent about an hour and a quarter with Ken Pruitt on Friday, and we kicked this around. And there's the carrot and there's the the stick. And I'm kind of on the carrot side, and I think that there are some incentives and things that we can do as a town to encourage it and make it easier for people to build passive houses.
It's, an area where it goes into how you calculate floor area. Because if you calculate from the outside, that thick wall you put in really cuts into it. Now,
That's a very good point.
I got to tell you, the few inches, if it's an extra 4 inches on both sides, that's 8 inches. That
Multiplied by the run.
It's 8 inches. That means the fridge won't fit or the door won't fit. It kind of adds up. And if you're gonna,
So my proposal,
it does permit you, give you more leeway to make the thicker wall.
I agree. So that's a good point. But my proposal at this stage is to form an ad hoc committee of some sort, and I'm happy to serve on that, and Ken is excited about this. He thinks it'd be great, along with perhaps Taylor and/or Ian and another member, one of you guys, and just meet a couple of times and just kick it around, what's possible, and come back in a couple of months with some ideas that we can, because I'm just blowing smoke.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, this is exactly what I was looking for, and I appreciate ideas like this. It may not be what we decide to settle on and move forward on, but it may be. I have no idea.
It's highlighted in the master plan as a want to do. It's right. Also, the climate action report was where is it? Action. Yeah, here it is. That's the climate action. Here's the master plan. They talked about sustainable infrastructure. One of the ideas was adopt regulatory requirements and zoning or financial incentives to promote sustainable development practices, including the reuse of existing buildings over new development and environmentally conscious new development. So
That development would have been a mixed bag because they were tearing down the old building, but on the other hand, they were putting in
That's another can of worms. Tearing down buildings is not a very good use of resources. It fills dumps, or I should say landfills, and wastes a lot of good material. We were on and around on that on historical commission, but so there's 6 to 1, half does the other. But anyway, so it's part of the master plan. I think it's also part of the climate action committee report. Very big part of it. So I think that the town is asking for it.
I think that's a great idea. Like what it looks like, none of us know now, but it's a great idea. Carrie?
So, a lot of the items are things we've been kicking around, so I support all of them, and we should start today. No, I'm just kidding. The state of the town is going to push some information gathering around a few of these anyway, and so I am happy to tackle, I mean, I'm going to need to haul out the master plan to make sure we're staying sort of fidelitous to that. The point of the state of the town is to, sort of shore up the fiscal health and well-being over the long term, and the planning department in the landscape of this town is relatively small, but we are mighty, and I think we should leverage that as much as possible. So I think this is the right time. We have to create sort of one-pagers on different topics anyway, so I think I can go back to the there's like a little gnat thing, to the master plan, and rather than creating an implementation committee that's tasked with auditing the entire process, I think we can probably streamline down to a few priority areas and get some eyes on it. And it will be really important to the success of whatever comes out of that process to have the master plan of the zoning sort of, ready to, like thinking of it as sort of like, where do we have our weaknesses? What formulas can we update? How can we take the different processes, special permit, site plan review, and make it as easy as possible, or continue the work that's been done already to make it easier, so that if they look at our economic development plan, they look at the opportunity areas on the, North Main or in light industrial, we're not answering it with, it'll take a couple of years, but we can get there. So I think a lot of the things that I have thought about in the past, or that you're bringing up with some fresh information, will fold into that process anyway. So
Okay.
that's what I'll be working on.
Yeah,
And then from that, we'll probably distill down, this is what has to change in the bylaw to make it work. But I think a lot of it will be in the planning board's hands. So,
Fantastic.
dot.
That's a full plate.
I don't think I've said anything new there, but.
Nick, is there any areas that you see that we should be,
Well, I have been giving some thought to one issue. I'm wondering if it's possible to bring up a house, 14 Hillside on Zillow, that I looked at actually recently.
You say hillside?
Hillside 14, Hillside Ave. And I said, double click on the picture. See if we can get, the main, let's see that main picture. So this is a classic, it's got elements of Italianated Queen Anne. And I said, I'm going to go look at the house because it's just really interesting to me. It's very well proportioned. It's kind of an iconic design. And looking inside, it needs a little work. It's kind of run down. And I'm thinking, I think this house is endangered because it's at that point where it needs sufficient amount of work, and a developer could walk in and kind of make it unrecognizable for what it is. And I'm wondering if there's any traction in kind of identifying some of these houses that are I would say endangered, and maybe making a list and kind of just kind of tracking them through time and seeing what happens to them, and seeing if there's anything that we could do to kind of preserve the character
That's kind of a partnership deal with the historical commission.
Yeah, I think you had talked about that before,
this
inventory.
This is a big deal for historical commission. They're so concerned about demolition by neglect.
Right.
This is in 1870.
Well, this has been lived in by the same woman for quite some time.
Elizabeth Ellis?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I spoke with and it's 2,600 square feet, which is, it's not huge.
Bigger than my house, but
and I think the house right next door was kind of remodeled beyond recognition, to the consternation of the neighbors. And it looks horrible. It looks like a modern house, and I just thought it would be interesting to start to make a list of some of the houses that might be endangered proactively.
What's the woman's name you were working with?
Susan.
working up a list of all the historic houses in town and work off that list.
And especially the ones that are really fine examples that really deserve, the TLC. That there are some that just look blah. That okay, who really cares?
Right.
But some of these it might be nice to say, okay, well this is an important house because of X, Y, and Z, and it deserves some kind of attention. It brought to the attention of the building manager. So he'll be flagged, and maybe we'll say, okay, yeah, we want to flag you about this. It's for sale. We want you to know about it because it's potentially could suffer demolition by, I guess, if 2/3 of the cladding is changed, or just changing the layout such that it's unrecognizable. I'm sort of interested in thinking about this.
We saw on a couple of occasions, I won't name names, we saw real estate ads for truly historic homes where the marketing verbiage was, perfect opportunity. I forget how they phrased it, but basically the implication was you could tear this down and build a bigger house.
Right.
Yeah, like they sell the
Right.
lots.
And the fact that it's 2,600 square feet, I think makes it particularly vulnerable.
It's usually not that vague. It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
pretty clear.
Investment developer opportunity.
So I
mean,
maybe at the least we say, okay, here are the homes.
It's
that-
even listed as contractor special,
I think it's admirable. I like it.
Let the building manager know, like we kind of have our eye on this one, so that if it comes up, let us know, or just be.
I mean,
aware.
to Jack's point with the incentives for sustainable housing, there will have to either be a punitive action that gets taken to folks who end up in these homes, and there's kind of nothing we can do on private property. I mean, if they're not demolishing it,
Right.
there's no lever we can pull.
Right.
We can send them a nice
It's kind of
note.
tough, other than being aware and bringing pressure to bear. I mean, we can't force anyone to do anything.
But is there an incentive? Is there? I mean, some of the thoughts that have been tossed around already, in terms of the state of the town discussions, is sort of like how can we incentivize? How can we alleviate or leverage the tax burden on different homes differently, or how can we sort of create programs within the town? Is there a way to create a fund that supports consulting with a historic architect as opposed to consulting with the cheapest architect you can find? I mean, is there a program that the planning board could think about implementing that would offer material support to homeowners who are in possession of these homes?
Right. Right. Sure.
Say
Yeah.
this as a homeowner in possession of these homes.
Yeah. No,
Like things like that where you.
The
go ahead.
cost of the architect is not the issue. Architects are subject to their customers.
That's right.
Right.
It really is. I have had more architects say, I had the conversation a couple times.
Yeah,
you
so I
know?
mean, we'd have to think creatively about what.
A lot of it comes down to filibustering and sweet talking, which is what I did a lot of the last several years. There was a house that came this close to being demolished, and we imposed a delay, and then we managed to talk the owner into selling it. And it was bought by a woman who fixed it up, did a nice job, and then she resold it and to a young couple with a baby. And they're thrilled. It was an 1830 house, and it's a beautiful little house.
Is that the one on Grove Street?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit small.
So I mean, go back to
It
the
was small,
sweet.
but-
Go back to the sweet talking that was effective.
That's what
Is
we
there
did.
anything we can codify?
I was on the phone. I was on site. I spent a lot of personal time just to save that one house. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You can't. It's really hard to pick out these houses because you don't know when they're going to go on the
Right. I
market.
mean,
hard to make
there are
zoning
houses
around
on
that.
Main Street
Exactly.
that have gotten ruined, just between looking at it one day and then the entire cladding is gone.
Yep, we've seen that.
And you lose, so,
And we get neighbors coming at the historical commission yelling at us, "How could you let that happen?" And it was beyond our authority.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I for some reason I looked at a house and now they come up on my phone. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to leave it on there. I'm going to make them silent notifications, and I'll look at them. And every once in a while, one comes up that is very interesting. So maybe that's the beginning of kind of flagging some of these. Maybe this will be the first one.
And there are opt-in districts like the Rangeley district where you take a neighborhood like
That's
this
right.
where there's multiple homes in that time period.
Local area historic districts, the local historic district is what we don't have any of.
But this one looks a lot nicer. I mean, when you go there, it's run down, and it's going to need some TLC. And I think I would characterize it as a threatened species, or
Not quite endangered, but threatened.
threatened or endangered. Right? Yeah.
Well, we were trying in vain to get the Sims Corner neighborhood to the local historic district, and then Brian Zakelli, who was leading it, left, and then COVID came and it fell.
Right.
It fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
We were trying to get it revived again, but it's not really the historical commission's aegis. We're just participants. It's got to be.
Right. I know you guys are pushing.
It's got to be the select board or
board's
the
gonna do it.
neighbors.
Yeah.
But if we had a pathway to joining that was fairly, maybe we need an awareness campaign or we need, something that would, I don't know.
All good. I mean, you want? I'd be happy to give you a half-hour lecture on local historic districts.
That
But
would,
not tonight.
I'd love to give us a short lecture on like a 10-minute
play it on double time.
discussion of styles that I had
Yeah.
set up, and maybe I can
There's
get
a lot
that
of
on
gems
the
in this
agenda
town. There really are, where they're easily over.
For one of these, one meeting, it would take 5 or 10 minutes to go through the different
that's
styles.
Great idea. I mean, and
With drawings, there's a book called. So maybe I'll bring that up with you.
no, that's a great idea. And this is yet another direction. As I said at the beginning, I don't see how we 5 people could possibly go down the 11 directions that are now. And John, you haven't even spoken yet. The 11 directions. So we're going to have to do some
We
prioritization.
can partner with.
Yes.
We can partner with the sustainability.
But some of it may not be all on our
Yes.
shoulders. It may just be communicating and
Ken is championing at the
letting.
bit to do what I was talking
Oh,
about.
he's
What's
fabulous.
the
He's such
new
a producer.
building commissioner's name again?
Tom?
Tom Kennedy.
Right, yeah. So you're letting Tom know about some of these that might be coming up across
Yeah.
his radar.
He's very sensitive to this
Across the,
stuff.
across the.
But you can only do so much.
I know, he can only do so much, but he's very sensitive to
Yeah.
it. And he listens, he pays attention, and he's very thorough.
Anyway,
Okay. That,
I think about these houses. They're beautiful houses. That's a beautiful house. But it's, I'm thinking of looking at how the narrow cross-section. And if you wanted to make the walls thicker to try to increase the insulation, and you see the chimneys going through there, and there's a staircase. It was a beautiful staircase. There's no way you can build anything that looks like that now. It was considered very unsafe. It's a struggle. It's sort of like you have to live with that staircase. It's a beautiful staircase, but the handrail. I know it's too. I haven't even been there. It's 30 inches. It's 29. It's 6 inches too low.
hey, there it is.
Yeah, you can see it is. Because you kind of know.
The
How,
railings are like,
yeah, and
like
that
that in our house.
curved. It's beautiful. The rise looks a little high. It's
You want to see mine?
yeah, well. That curve, the problem is that people fall down.
Yep.
The handrails on the inside, which is where the tread is narrower, and you
Yep.
fall. And it's great that they have carpet on it. It is. It's
softens the blow when you hit it.
well, it's you get better traction. But it is. They're beautiful houses, and it's tricky. And I'm looking at it, and I'll bet to package that a legal staircase, I bet it really doesn't fit. I bet it messes
oh
a
yeah,
lot of
no, I
things
mean,
up
all the
'cause it's
back
a lot more-
staircases too, this is the front staircase, but the back
it's going
ones
to take up a lot more room because you have to turn, so you need a landing that's 3 feet by 3 feet.
Yep.
There's
that's
not
just-
a lot of room on that lot to there's no room in the back. You're
Yeah,
right up against the setback. You got room on the right, but that would destroy the look.
Right, it's a beautiful house. If you're going to shatter the whole.
Yeah.
If you. It's difficult.
It's definitely sounds like a good idea or something to add to the list.
Cool. I didn't mean to. I did not expect at all to have this much of a discussion and long as it has been.
It's
Just
perfect.
never know.
And I'm going to turn to you last, John. If you came up with anything when I sent out the call for ideas.
I'd like to, we have requiring a site plan review for a change in slope over 6% of existing grade of an area more than 500 square feet, comma, and. It's very inadequate. I think I'd like to have a discussion about what's the issue we're trying to address and come up with something that's a lot tighter, easier to understand.
Yeah, talk to Tom.
You know, just.
This is grade change.
Yeah, really tighten
Right.
up the language in certain.
Well, this
Come
is-
full circle.
It kind of goes along with Brian's idea of looking at the zoning and.
Right, you know, that it's.
I don't understand
Which
it.
is.
I don't, it's, you know, there's the calculation of how you calculate grade that the building sits on. This is like the change.
Yeah.
But theoretically, you could put a building on anything and not change the grade. But is a swimming pool, you know, that's it's very inadequate. You know, figure out what it is we're trying to address and come up with a better solution, something that's easier to understand. When everyone looks at that and says, what does that mean?
We've asked ZBA petitioners to come forward and say, well, how much fill is that? And even if they give you a number, I'm not sure what that means.
But this doesn't address this doesn't talk about fill. This talks about
Grade change.
It talks about a square footage,
Yeah.
an area,
Yeah.
and a change in slope. The amount of fill means nothing. You could add an inch to the whole lot. It'd be a big number, but
It wouldn't change the
right.
grade.
It would sound like a lot of fill, but it wouldn't. This would not kick in. It's not 6%. It's really inadequate.
I'd love to know where, like, go back in time when this was added and talk to the person and say, what is it you're trying to solve and how does this solve it?
I have heard, it needs to be fleshed out more. You need a little more color there. I don't know what that is.
It was a relatively recent change.
It is, yeah.
No, so the person who did it is probably still sitting in town.
They don't live in town anymore.
But if it's relatively recent, Diab was on the board when it happened, perhaps.
He must, yeah.
He was on the board for a long time.
We should invite him to Lucia's, and he can.
Guest catcher.
We have to post the meeting at Lucia's, though, and then.
Yeah, for past quorum, and we can chat.
So that is like 11 different things by my list that we've come up with. I'm going to write them down as I think I heard them, put them in a memo, get them back to the board, and I'd really like us to potentially at our next meeting decide what way we want to go. Understanding that everything, I mean, I gave 6 things, but everything I think that all of us listed are directions that we should and could go over the next decade. The question is, what do we want to try to start biting off now?
And we've been asked to add sign bylaws,
Sign bylaws, yes.
sign permits. Just remember that. You can give an update on that, or you can, or I can.
I would let you, because you...
We were approached by the Committee of Government Regulations. Is that the right?
Decennial review.
Yes.
Same as the Committee on Government.
About our sign bylaws, which are in the code of bylaws, not in the zoning. Our sign bylaws, effectively, they aren't being followed. Just over the course of time, from a permitting standpoint and from a design standards standpoint, we don't really follow them anymore. We've been asked, the planning board has been asked if you want to update the bylaw. It's a code of bylaw, not zoning. My personal preference would be if we want to address the sign bylaws, it needs to be a significant overhaul. It needs to be added into zoning instead of included. I actually think this about historical by the way, but that's a whole nother. It's actually a bigger undertaking than you might think,
Yeah, it is a big
because it
undertaking.
needs to be integrated into every zone, and we need to consider how each zone needs to be signed appropriately. So it is a significant undertaking. Right now, we really just allow the design review committee to approve or deny signs. And I think that's a good place for it to be, allowing the design review committee to do that. But the process which we go by doesn't really follow the letter of the law. So we can continue doing that because I think everyone's happy with it. But in order to address it, it is actually quite a significant undertaking.
Could that be addressed simply in the bylaw and not pull it in the zoning bylaw, or would it lack any teeth? The question is, do we have to do the whole deal, or is there some step that could get us better? And then, just thinking about it, I don't know.
Well, we talked about it briefly, and just so you know, the other option is to create rules and regulations governing signs. You keep it you would still move it into the zoning bylaw, and then you create rules and regulations just like we did with the Main Street Mixed Use District and the Central Use and the Central Business District. That gives some leniency in allowing you to change it over time, depending on design changes and preferences. So that's a possible way to make it easier, but I don't know if making it easier is really the way that it should be done.
I don't know. I was just...
Yeah.
Either way, the Committee on Government Regulations Decennial Review is hoping, I think, to bring this back to fall town meeting, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not realistic, anything with the zoning bylaw, to add a whole section on signage or to incorporate in all things. It's unlikely to be ready to go by fall town meeting, correct? I think it would be too difficult to have it complete, anything complete by fall town meeting. Okay.
Just to make it a little bit more complicated, I think we should also work together with the conservation and recreation areas to fold those into the signage plan, because they're a whole other haphazard area for signage. They would push back on that, but they're not here tonight.
Well, I mean, it's a good, I mean, even beyond that, there's signage all over town, and we don't have one governing,
Everyone
body
has their
or-
own logo.
Yeah.
Like, has their own.
I think one thing that hasn't really happened, but it will happen eventually, is who's responsible for signage and wayfinding of downtown? Mm-hmm. Is that the purview of the planning board?
I think it was the planner. Brian Zacchelli led that. There was a major change about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
Those signs everywhere.
A lot of new signs, you noticed them, and he led that.
Yeah, which is what I would assume would happen again, but we don't have that written down.
DPW even bought a sign-making machine.
Yeah.
So
They love that sign-making machine.
Wait, we have a sign-making machine?
We do. Yeah. They can put up no parking signs tomorrow if you want
and
them.
they made one for Beth Rudolph at Lance Grinsback's due the other night. Gave him a sign that said "Special parking for Lance Grinsback only," with the Winchester logo on it. It was really nice.
Oh, cool.
He was really touched.
Did he put it on a cone so he just put it in front of his car wherever he's in town?
You can put it on your driveway.
Yeah.
So that now brings us up to 12 things.
I think that's a good number.
A nice round
I
number.
think 12 is a nice number.
I will prepare a memo that
Easy to
lists
tackle,
those.
yeah.
I'll get it out to you guys well before our next meeting, and we'll have an agenda item. I'm not even sure that next meeting is the time where we're going to start hashing it out, but if we want something done soon, we need to start deciding either, Carrie, you're going to do this, Nick, you're going to do this, or we need to say, these are our priorities, and then we need to come up with some way to prioritize it. And I knew we didn't have forever tonight, so I just wanted to do what we did. So thank you all. With that, sorry.
No, I just said great.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Move into the summer calendar schedule. We are currently scheduled, theoretically scheduled, for today is in person. June 17th would be remote. Why don't we just start there? Can everybody attend June 17th remote meeting?
I'm not sure I can. I think,
Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that. I'll find out in the next couple of days, but
Okay.
I may not be able to.
And we may not be able to get all of us all together over the summer for every meeting, but then we have, the one I thought would be trouble is we have a July 1st in-person meeting. Who cannot attend July 1st in-person meeting?
I can't make it.
Cannot attend.
2 people can't attend.
I can attend.
Okay. Nick, could you attend a July 1st in-person?
As far as it's looking now, probably.
So we're not making decisions yet. We just want to, and July 15th remote meeting, who couldn't make a July 15th remote meeting?
Unless everyone's getting Monday, Tuesday off, I'm probably available.
The 15th?
The
You're back on
first.
the first.
Yeah.
I know that you're unavailable on the 15th. So one thought I had, who could make July 8th?
I can make it.
I can make it.
So, yeah.
Can you make July 8th? So one thought I had was combine the July 1st and the July 15th meeting into a July 8th meeting.
Does it tend to get slow in July?
Oh, yeah, maybe combine them. Yeah.
You veterans, does it get slow in January?
In July.
I'm sorry, July?
No.
You'll
I'd
continue to
say-
have ZBA, you'll continue to have development review,
Okay.
but early July and August are the slowest months.
Yeah, same with historical.
I'm making this face because state of the town is barreling ahead at an alarming rate, so we will have some information gathering, but for agenda items, we'd be good.
We're on for July 8th.
Well, so I'm just checking.
Makes sense.
Are we on for July 8th? July 1, we have 2 members who can't attend, so let's kill July 1.
July 8 is good for me.
July 8 in person or remote?
Let's, can everybody do in person?
Yeah.
If we choose to, there would be no reason to meet July 8th and July 15th, I would think.
We just did a hybrid meeting. There's an owl available somewhere. State of the town or select
So we would
board.
only have one meeting then.
Well, I'm asking if that makes sense, one meeting July 8th.
That would be nice to have one meeting
Saying.
then, in a month.
See
Okay.
the future of planning.
Instead of 2, that's always kind of a
Okay.
nice.
Well, well, I say that, but then the next question would be August 5th. So I am out of town and I will not be able to attend remotely on August. I proposed to my wife that while we're on vacation, I could log in remotely, and she said absolutely not. So that is not happening.
Okay, and we need a chair, so that's out.
I can't. So what?
Chair can step in for chair.
We don't have a, do we have?
And
So we're going to do
you thought
July
you were-
8th, and
Almost certain I'm not
then,
gonna
and then we're
Two
going
of us are both.
We have nobody. John's the vice chair.
John and
Oh, John's the vice chair?
I think
we're both gone that day.
we'll do July 8th, and then we'll skip to August.
Just the
So
kids. Mom and Dad
here
are
was going to
gone.
be my question. July 8th and July 29th.
I'm back by the 29th.
I actually may be gone the 29th.
Okay.
TBD, but probably
I'm
gone.
good on the 29th.
Isn't it?
You're free to carry on with that one.
And then we'll skip the 5th.
If that doesn't work, if we get,
No,
I would say if we have 2 members who can't attend, it's reason enough to not try to schedule.
I have jury duty. That should be done by 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they let you out early, jury duty. It's like,
That's what I'm hoping for.
it's 9 to 5.
Jury duty and I never get called.
I figured my last one was the day before Thanksgiving, and I said no one's going to want to do that.
The lawyers don't even want to do that though.
Judges, then no one was called.
So in principle, July 1 and July 15th and August 5th are all gone, and we would meet July 8th and July 29th.
Yes, and I will miss the 29th.
July 8th and
Probably.
July 29th. That works for me. And then,
Then August, we are scheduled to meet on the 19th. And since we would just have met on the 29th, I would argue that we just have the one meeting on the 19th, if ever.
Just the one meeting. That'd be
Just the
great.
one meeting on
Yeah.
the 19th.
On August 19th.
August 19th, yeah.
good, works for me. And then the next one would be September
And the next one would be
2nd.
September 2nd, and we're back in September.
Yep, back in the swing of things.
So just to summarize, we're meeting on the 17th remote. We would meet on July 8th in person. we would meet on July 29th, remote. And then for August 19th, that would have been remote, but we could move in person. I'm fine either way. What would people prefer?
No preference.
And will there be any timing issues for applicants with the new schedule? Like, we won't miss the chance to weigh in time on a
The
CBA?
the only thing we need to be careful of is continuing to the right meeting if there's a public hearing. And if an A&R comes in, you have to act within 21 days. So if that happens, we'll have to just hop on a Zoom.
Hop on a Zoom. Okay.
Schedule a meeting with
Yeah.
48 hours and get what's
Emergency meeting, sure.
Yeah. Let's do August 19th in person if people are amenable to that, because that will be the only time that we're meeting. Okay. So I think we have a summer schedule that seems to work for most people.
Yep.
And the meeting on the July 29th that you are unable to attend, potentially.
Yeah, if I'm not here, I'm in the woods of Maine at
Okay, so
reception.
then, okay.
The remote
so-
doesn't help.
Okay.
Me, the moose, and my baby boy.
Okay. Are there any other topics for the board that we did not cover that people want to cover?
I don't think so.
So our next meeting date now is still June 17th. That is a remote meeting. I would welcome a motion to adjourn at 8:52, which is before 9, I will point out.
Do you want me to drag it out to spare your evening? So.
No.
I can't make it anyway.
If no one can make it, that's fine, but I figured somebody would.
But isn't there a quorum issue if you?
As long as we don't talk about planning board stuff, we can get together and do whatever we want.
What are the boundaries on that? Can we gossip about pet? No, I'm just kidding. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, WinCam. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sharon.
Chair.